5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, my name is Tarrell Christie. I am a filmmaker based out of Iowa. I've been doing filmmaking for about 12 years now, and it's just my favorite art form to work in. You know, I've done some other stuff in the past, which I'll get into, but for me, filmmaking is just an amazing experience to visually share with people, and that's why I am a filmmaker. I first wanted to be a visual storyteller once I realized drawing wasn't really going to be working out for me. That was the main thing I wanted to do when I was older, but my skills were just reaching a level where I could tell I just wasn't really growing. And around this time, I decided to watch the behind the scenes of Peter Jackson's King Kong just for fun. And after doing that, I realized, like, oh my God, this is something I could actually do, you know, because it took you through every single production process. And so for me, I realized, like, oh, if I just get a camera and grab my friends and go out into a forest, like I could almost make King Kong, you know, a really low budget version, but still, like I could do that. And so that's really what made me realize that this was the type of visual storytelling I wanted to do. And I always loved movies since I was a kid. So once I realized I could, you know, put my own spin and make my own movies, I was like, this is perfect. If I had to choose the directors that inspired me, of course you have the greats, you know, Tarantino, Spielberg, Kubrick, those type of people. For me now, I'd say the filmmakers that inspire me the most currently are the ones that are getting into the industry in ways that are relevant to me. So people like Gareth Edwards, David Sandberg is a really big one for me. He's done, you know, Shazam, Lights Out, Annabelle, and this was a guy who was just similar to me on YouTube, just making short films, and he happened to make it big. And he's done a really fantastic job of really pulling back the curtain for people like me who don't always have a big budget and seeing like, oh, this is what it was like to get into Hollywood, and here are some of the tips on how I did it. You know, he doesn't hide his story or anything. He's very much out there, and he's been a huge support for the filmmaking community, and, you know, just me personally. It's hard to choose my favorite film genres because I have so many. If I had to choose my favorites, I am in love with monster movies, you know, Godzilla, King Kong, Gamera, any of those giant, you know, Asian cinema monsters. I love that stuff so much. I love sci-fi. I love rom-coms. I, weirdly enough, really like sports dramas, despite not being athletic at all, but I really love those types of movies. And then, of course, you know, I love action movies. People getting punched or kicked in the face is always dope. You know, it's always so cool. So that's, if I had to choose my favorites, I'd say those are probably my favorite genres. If I had to choose a Hollywood actor to work with, right now, I'd probably say Michael B. Jordan. I have just, you know, ever since I've seen him in Fruitvale Station, I've just loved everything he's done. I think he's phenomenal, and to just do anything with him, film or otherwise, would just be a huge dream of mine, just because I think he's super talented, and I feel like I could learn a lot just from, you know, the directors he's worked with, you know, like Brian Coogler and etc. If I were to describe myself as a film, I would probably say Karate Kid. Not because I got into filmmaking by being beat up, but I think the idea of a kid being introduced to this art form and this craft, and, you know, having kind of a sensei and learning about it. You know, I think that's something that can really apply to filmmaking. And, you know, Karate Kid has the training montage like Rocky. And I think in filmmaking, you have that same training montage. It's, you know, it's not as entertaining, but you do practice filmmaking and you grow. And when your personal life can kind of be in shambles, kind of like the main character in Karate Kid, you know, the art form you learn is something that can kind of help balance you and kind of, you know, reignite the passion. And so for me, I would have to say Karate Kid is probably, you know, the movie that I would best relate to myself. If you're interested in seeing my work, I am on all the social medias, especially YouTube, at Lost Utopia Films. My name is Tarrell Christie, and I support your local filmmakers.